Hello, fellas and fellow readers. Smiling Sam LV up the UFC and now Karate Combat Champion. Woo! Hey, I want to talk UFC 300. I've got a problem with it. I think the card was overpromised and underselling. I've heard a lot of people agreeing with me and very few people disagreeing with me. But the people that disagree passionately. They say, this card is stacked top to bottom. Dana White is one of those people. Personally, I think he's wrong. I think he promised us the greatest fight night that has ever been. And right now, the co-main event is Wiley versus another Chinese gal. I don't know who the gal is. I don't know that anyone knows who the gal is. She's probably great. She's probably just studly. It'll probably be a great fight. But nobody knows who she is. Then the co-main event is for the stupid BMF. Goodness, I hate that BMF belt. It was a cute idea at first when it was Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. It made sense. They're both kind of have that thuggy persona, and it just made sense. And now they've got the nicest guy in the UFC, Max Holloway. Sorry, Stephen Thompson. Max Holloway fighting maybe the second or third nicest guy in Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is an incredibly nice guy. I've met him once or twice. I really enjoyed being around him. And now they've got them fighting for the BMF belt, which doesn't mean anything. It's the baddest mother, whatever. It's dumb now. It was cute at first. It's dumb now. And it has no implications on the future of the division. If Max wins that fight, who knows? Who knows where he goes after that? It won't be a title fight. It won't get him any closer to a title belt. He's just a placeholder until they're willing to feed unless they're willing to feed him to Volkanovski again. Then we've got, now this is the only fight on the card that I feel is title contention worthy, is Raychik for Shiri. And even then, it's only Raychik that has title implication. Yuri is fighting to fight, he's 2 or 3 fights away from getting another title shot. Raychik, if he wins this, they're out of people at 205. He gets the next title fight. And so I guess there's some implication with that, but again, it's not a huge fight. It would be a good co-main event of something. And yeah, so good for them on that one. Then you just work your way down the card, and UFC 300 is not as good as UFC 298. Is not as good as UFC 299. 299 is an incredible card. And right now, everything we're hearing about UFC 300 is they are grasping at straws. The UFC is just they're trying to stitch together weight classes to make a fight worthy of being UFC 300. I mean, they have offered Khamzat a title shot at 170. So we've heard, allegedly offered Khamzat a title shot at 170 pounds. But Khamzat is, God, I saw a photo of him. Dude looks like he's got, I don't know, gangrene or something. He is not healthy enough to be able to fight. Shoot, I don't know if he's healthy enough to get out of bed. He's in rough shape. They have offered Alex Pereira a heavyweight title shot. Not just Alex Pereira. And it's not for the UFC heavyweight title. It would be for the interim title. He would be fighting for the interim title against Tom Aspinall. He said, nope, not doing it. I'm not heavy enough yet. It's like, okay. So then they offered Stipe a title shot. And Stipe said, nah, I just want Jones. And then they offered Jones a title shot. And Jones said, I'm probably still too sick or too hurt, and I only want Stipe. All right, so heavyweight's not happening. That brings us to middleweight. So 170, not happening. Belal was also talked about in there, but nobody wants to fight Belal. And like 2 months later, like UFC 302 is going to be in Manchester. They're going to have Leon on Manchester. They're going to put Leon Edwards in Manchester, so he probably couldn't fight at 300 anyways. And nobody cares about Belal, which is unfortunate. He's a very talented fighter. So it brings us to middleweights. Middleweights. Who in the middleweight division could fight for a title? Well, you have DDP. You have Izzy. Izzy does not deserve a title shot. I don't think he should get the next title shot, but I do believe he is going to get the next title shot. Not at UFC 300, though. DDP has said he wants to fight in UFC Africa. UFC Africa only makes sense if DDP fights Izzy. Be the biggest card in African history. It'll be the only card in African history, but it will be a huge deal. DDP's willing to wait, and I would pay to watch that, even though I don't think Izzy deserves it. DDP versus Strickland. Again, it makes sense. I think it is the fight to make. I think it's the fight that would save the card. No, I am biased. Strickland is a friend of mine. I'm a fan of his. I think he's an entertaining fighter. I really do like watching Sean Strickland fight. Right now, Sean Strickland is the hottest person in the UFC. I think he would draw more than Conor McGregor. No, I don't. Conor would still outsell everyone. But Sean is so popular right now that Jake Paul is trying to fight him. That's how you know he's the hot thing. He could save the card. Let's work our way down weight. So we've already talked about 70, not happening. 85, not happening. 205, not happening. Middleweight, not happening. Nope. We didn't talk about 205. 205, if Izzy were willing to go up and fight DDP for, I don't know, 15th time, maybe. I mean, you could at least say, oh, yeah, it's Izzy, and Izzy's apparently a draw, although I never thought he was a huge draw. Izzy versus Alex to settle their 1-1 streak in the UFC. Maybe that's a UFC-worthy card. Maybe not. They got to come up with something though. But if Izzy loses to Alex, Izzy doesn't fight DDP. It's not. And they really want UFC Africa. Now we've hit 70, not going to happen. 55. 55 is not going to happen. Who in 55? Islam's not going to fight. It's during Ramadan or just after Ramadan, so he's not going to be able to defend his belt. Let's drop down to 45. Volkanovski. Volkanovski did say he would be willing to jump up to UFC 300. That might be what to do. That might be where we go next. Is Volkanovski defends his belt at 298, and then he fights again at UFC 300, maybe, possibly, or maybe let's see, Topuria beats Volkanovski. A rematch. No, that could be it. I said it here first. Mark this in your calendars, guys. If Topuria beats Volkanovski, Volkanovski comes back and fights Topuria UFC 300. I just thought of it. You guys saw this happen. I said it first. Don't let anyone tell you I didn't. Work our way down to 135, 125. Again, nobody cares about those weight classes. I love those weight classes. They're some of the most fun fights you can have. Marino, I would pay to watch him at any weight class he fought in against any opponent. He is so much fun. Figueiredo, same thing. I love watching Figueiredo fight. It's not title contention. It's not a title fight. It's not going to happen. So what does the UFC do? So outside of my Volkanovski plan, which kind of makes sense to me, outside of my Volkanovski plan, I think, now listen to me close, I think the UFC takes this opportunity to introduce 2 new weight classes and get rid of one. Get rid of 170, add 175 and a 165. You could find a new, you could pick any 2 fighters you want to fight at 165. We'll say Leon just becomes the 175 champion. He just move it up 5 pounds. He's still the champion there. We make a 165-pound weight class. I think this is the time to do it. I think you could make it happen. Who would you guys want to see fight for the 165-pound strap? Who do you think would be able to take that belt? It's the only weight classes 70, 60, 65, 75. It's the only 2 weight classes I think that could be added. If you were to add a 95 or 225, you'd kill the heavyweight, or if you did 195, you'd kill middleweight, you'd kill light heavyweight. Once there are enough talented fighters at 165, around 170 and 165, and a lot of guys that don't want to cut, you could have those 2 new weight classes. So that is my official prediction for what's going to happen. It's my second most official thing. Volkanovski rematching at 300, that's my first one. But outside of that, I think the UFC is going to introduce a 165 weight class and a 175 weight class. They're going to make the fight happen at 165. That will be the main event. The hype around the 2 new weight classes is what will sell this card. I think it's brilliant. I can't believe I didn't say it out loud before this. I got to hurry up and post it on all my social media so I get credit for it when it happens. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I'm pulling for Volkanovski this weekend. I am. I don't care if he's headliner of 300. I'm pulling for him this weekend. I want him to beat Topuria. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Is the 165, 175 going to happen? Anyways, thanks for watching. Love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.